Okay, I hope my voice is clear enough. We will start very soon. Yes.
Näkyykö meidän päätöstä? Hi Outi.
Hi, Suvi.
Are you recording?
I hope everything is okay now.
Okay. So, do you remember yesterday when we were talking about the problems in describing inclusive education?
Yes, I do. Did you work on that?
Yes, I did. Look, one problem raises if inclusive education is measured merely by quantitative figures. For example, like this. These figures I retrieved from the database collected by the European Agency for Special Needs and Inclusive Education. What do you see in this table and what kinds of thoughts it causes?
Well, I can see that there are two populous countries, UK and Poland, and the percent of special education needs pupils is quite low. Maybe the high number of pupils in comprehensive school diminishes the rates in special education needs. They just have to handle the various issues in mainstream classes, perhaps because of poor resources. On the other hand, also in Sweden, which is about the same size as Finland, the rate is the lowest, only 1.1%. When it comes to two countries about the same size, Finland and Austria, the percentage is quite high, 7.3%. What causes the difference? Are there different definitions of special needs?
Yes, one cannot make very deep conclusions based on these figures. That is why we should measure and study inclusive education by qualitative indexes.
So I do agree.
Here are some definitions of inclusive education. For example, the goal of inclusive education, by a quite wide definition, is to promote learning and well-being for all vulnerable groups. Or, by its widest, it is seen as a continuous process that combats all types of stigmatization and discrimination and concerns society as a whole. What do you think of these?
They seem to be very abstract. They reflect the generally accepted goals of democratic society and equality on the whole. I think there is a danger of oversimplifying the differences between various facets of diversity. In schools, there are children with various deficits and also students coming from various cultures and so on. What could be the key factors in teaching and nurturing all these kids? One teacher cannot manage it all.
True. And we should also consider our goals as educators. In inclusive education, when students are nurtured towards well-being at school, one must not look at the concept of well-being as, for example, capability to be employed or to be a good citizen only. Rather, it means well-being means equipping diverse students so that they have possibilities or freedom to make choices they value. Bearing in mind diversity as a starting point, I thought we could have time to analyze two factors, namely collaboration among adults and the quality of relationships in schools.
Okay, let's do it. If I remember right, in our ethnographic research with Lithuania, Austria and Poland, all the teachers who thought in a way that diverse learners are a natural part of their teaching appreciated collaboration with other teachers and experts.
Yes, that's true. Teachers play a major role as coordinators of the network that supports students' learning and well-being.
And that's why everything should start from collaboration with parents.
Yeah. Do you remember that in our research the parents appreciated their children's teachers because they often turned to parents and wanted to negotiate with the parents?
And the teachers especially emphasized that they wanted to collaborate because they thought that the parents could give good advice.
Mm. Here are some research results from Finnish basic education teachers. At first, there's Salovita's research. He studied teachers co-teaching weekly in basic education, and as you can see, 50% of class teachers co-taught weekly and only 19% of subject teachers did that. And the most or the biggest share was in special education teachers who co-taught 60%, of which 62% co-taught weekly. So I think that it's a quite good sign.
Yes.
And then Salovita and Takala also explored what did the teachers think that were the most needed things with what they could realize co-teaching in their work. And the most needed thing was time for planning together, and then need for additional training and resources. They also needed more knowledge of the models of co-teaching, and then they had a need for, they thought that the cultural change in Finnish schools would be appropriate.
Yeah, and when it comes to collaboration, it is one qualitative step forward because the new Finnish core curriculum for basic education emphasizes the developing of collaborative school culture.
Yes, that's a good step. Also, teachers' competence to work in a multi-professional team becomes an essential element when diverse learners are taught.
It is difficult for teachers to collaborate with school social workers and psychologists if they do not know anything about them.
Yes, so true. In a pilot study, student teachers and social work students practiced together at school. Their collaboration succeeded in the end, but during the process they experienced confusion and inferiority. They needed the support of their supervisors, naturally, but they discovered new sides of their peers' profession. They understood each other better and learned to support each other, not just try to compete about who is right.
Yeah, all in all, the quality of relationship in schools are nowadays more and more emphasized. So we can talk about the classroom interaction.
Okay.
The quality of the interaction of groups have been considered through two factors. Firstly, through the structural factors, which are, for example, the amount of the adults and children in the classroom, the teacher's education, and the learning materials. But also from the view of process factors. For example, if the learning situation is student-oriented, or does the teacher alone decide everything? If we think about the process factors, we are interested how the teachers apply the curriculum in class. What kind of goals and ways of working she or he emphasizes, and what kind of tasks and materials she or he uses in teaching. While structural factors are relevant, the interaction between the teacher and the student has proved to be the most meaningful and also determining factor in the quality of the learning process.
So the interaction between the individual student and the environment is at the heart of the development and learning processes. The mechanism of action of these processes is always unique and contextual.
And when studying a favorable or positive interaction between teacher and student, and also evaluating the quality of interaction, the researchers have found three important elements. These parts are the emotional support, the classroom organization, and the instructional support. And what do all these demands mean for teacher education? It is obvious that there is a need for teachers who are familiar with inclusive education. I think we have to emphasize two items. Teaching as a profession of human relations and teachers as reflective practitioners.
Yes, I agree. It is not an easy task to educate inclusive teachers. Neither it's not easy to work as an inclusive teacher. According to the survey of Finnish Trade Union of Education, the teachers do not have enough time or the necessary knowing to take into account the needs of each pupil in classes. The educational rights of the pupils do not exist equally throughout our country.
Yes, and to be able to support diverse pupils, a teacher needs to have socio-emotional competence, so-called emotional intelligence. In Miriam Virtanen's research, the Finnish teachers assessed their socio-emotional competence and training insufficient. As you remember, according to our research, the inclusive teacher supported their students individually, but also built their communality.
Yes, I do. Well, how could we sketch our teacher education then, if we wanted it to be inclusive teacher education?
Well, again, do you remember that on the grounds of our research results, we thought that we should highlight the student teacher as an emotional person in teacher education. The theory practice, and the research methodology are essential elements, and there must be also a forum for dialogical discussions and reflection. But the most essential aspect is to focus on the student as an emotional person.
What does it mean, student teacher as an emotional person?
Korthagen says that teacher-students' experiences and studies during teacher education need to touch them personally. They must be given, during their teaching practices, a chance to really try out different solutions in practice. Teachers need to have attitudinal and educational resources to engage diverse learners and learners from different cultural backgrounds. They also need to have opportunities to reflect their teaching experiences. For example, like Søren says, for action, in action, and on action.
Yes. In the core of our teacher education is reflection. The student teacher's own thinking is based on their theoretical and methodological studies and teaching experiences.
Yes, in our university we try to develop research-based thinking. We have pedagogical seminars for reflection. There the student teachers have possibilities to discuss and argue educational issues and values, and also train their social and interaction skills.
Do they just discuss?
Not only discussions. Afterwards, student teachers also analyze and write their thoughts and ideas in their personal pedagogical portfolios.
So the students start individually with pedagogical diaries during practices, and then they reflect together in seminars, and finally in their portfolios.
Yes.
And how is theory and practice integrated to inclusive education?
The pedagogical and didactical contents are integrated in a way that student teachers are able to recognize pupils' individual needs and prerequisites, able to support individual and collaborative learning processes, able to implement whole class approaches, and able to change the deterministic weave of pupils' individual competencies to the concept of a pupil's transformability, according to the principle that every child can learn, as Florian and Spratt have said.
So, our aim during the teacher education studies is that the student teachers develop a personal practical theory.
Yes. And these 4 elements have been on the focus of student teachers' reflection before.
Student teachers' personal practical theory is formed through school history, attitudes, beliefs, and teaching experiences. What else do we need for developing the student teachers' social emotional competence?
Well, maybe we should add personal elements to the reflection and also supervising process. We could consider what kind of emotions raise in student teachers
during their their practice
Yeah,
periods.
yeah. What are their sources of inspirations and what concerns them? What do they care or what they are worried about?
So in our outline, the emotional elements of personal practical theory would look like this: emotions, inspirations, and concerns.
Yes. I think those elements are worth of trying in our teacher education program.
Yes.
Okay, and I can see we have
Finished our time.
Yeah. And now it's for the audience. Have you got any comments or questions?
Yeah.
So I have given all of you the right to speak.
Okay. Could we see how many people are there on the line?
There are some.
Yes. Diane Hersberg asks or says something.
Can you describe what you mean by saying educational rights don't apply equally throughout the country? It is the part of the survey of Finnish Trade Union of Education.
Well, in Finland, the municipalities have a lot of independence in determining in what way will they use the funding they get from the state. And it's not only this Finnish Teachers Trade Association who has discovered that there are big differences inside Finland, because some of the municipalities, especially in the north and in the east of Finland, are much poorer than some other municipalities. And also the local politicians may decide how much they will how much impact they will put into education. So it's a fact in Finland that there are differences
because of the autonomy of municipalities. Yeah. And there is also another question. Yes, you can share our presentation. We will put a link to the recorded presentation to the UArctic webpage. I think Sana will do that when we send her the link, so you can have the presentation or see the presentation later also.
And then there's a question: do you think that funding spent on early years education impacts future spending on the special education and mental health services? Well, recently there was this memorandum that was ordered by the Finnish state, and it concerned the quality of early years education, and they concluded that if the early education is of high quality, it's profitable for families to get their children to early years education, because it will smoothen the way and diminish the differences between the families, for example, socioeconomic status or something like that. So yes, it's worth of putting lots of effort to early years education. That's the general concept in Finland now.
Yeah, and in our core curriculum, it is emphasized also that the early years education should be in the focus. Okay.
Okay. About this memorandum. Yeah. Okay. We will do that.
And we will also put those slides to the UArctic page, and there is also references list. What kind of researches and literature we have used.
Yeah. We will put them there tomorrow. Yes. Okay.
Okay, there is a question if we have a special model in inclusive education for student teachers. We here at the University of Lapland, we educate only class teachers, and we have included to their education program also inclusive education study courses and also special education.
Basic course.
Yeah, and there are quite many ECTCs actually.
Yes, inclusive and global education course is about 5 ECTCs, and
special education course is 5, and there are diversity of learning, and it's 4
ECTCs.
Yeah, and also maybe also vaihtoehtopedagogiat. Mikä se on?
Alternative pedagogies.
Yes, only two credits, but there are quite many courses, and I think it's some kind of special situation in Finland, because the universities or teacher education institutes who educate classroom teachers, they don't have so many credits than we have. So we have emphasized inclusive and special education in our teacher education program.
And we don't have a special educational program for inclusive teachers, but we try to keep it as a thread running through our education program, so that, for example, the lecturers who teach, for example, Finnish language or maths or biology, they all have to show our students how to differentiate their teaching. So in every subject, the starting point is that you will meet diverse learners when you go to the field to teach.
But we have also imagined that maybe in future we could have master program for inclusive teachers.
Yeah, that's our
wish.
We wish to make it true. And these are our plans that we are trying to implement all the time. So okay, thank you. So are there any other questions or comments?
Maybe somebody is writing just now.
Diane Hersbeck is typing, yes. Yes, we don't have so many ethnic groups than you have, but the socio-economical background of families can be seen in special education, and also boys are overrepresented, and then
and especially boys from Eastern Finland.
yeah, and I think that Romani people also, they are there, overrepresented. But we have the same kind of trend. And also in Sweden, oh yeah, the boys.
The boys is our problem.
Especially the northern boys. Yes, of course we discuss about these issues with our students.
Also these issues, especially the pedagogical seminars. There are 5 pedagogical seminars through teacher education program. We have all students, teachers have possibility to discuss together and with supervisor also.
They are good places for discussions.
Yeah.
Oh yes, true. Migrant study students, they don't do so well in their studies also. Yes, and but I'm not sure if they are in special education.
They have some different kind of special classes, but they are not.
Yeah, but we are not sure about these statistics in those concerning migrant students in Finland. Are they placed in let's see the other questions also, please, Outi.
Yes.
Gabriel says that would you be able to make your email address available?
Yes, that's why I was sharing my screen.
Okay.
There they are.
Yes, they are there. And what else? On a review hearing, as we are collaborating. Yeah. Yes.
So there are our email addresses.
Okay. So there's someone still typing, and we have got time for discussions. So it seems that no one is having any questions or comments anymore. So we thank you. It was really nice to make this presentation and
nice experience for us too.
Yeah, and I don't know if you saw, but we wrote it as a play for you. So hopefully you enjoyed, and we are looking forward to collaborate with you.
And as I said earlier, this presentation will be recorded, and the link to it can be found in UArtic webpage.
Okay. Yes. Thank you for participating. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Tähän menee järjestys.